So I'm going to do something a bit different today and have a go at something called Advent of Code. It's a website where they put up a coding challenge, typically done in a programming language, each day. I'm going to have a go in Excel and see how we get on. When you first go to the website, you'll get this kind of blue background thing with some weird numbers on the screen. These numbers are the days. If you click on one, it will take you to the puzzle for that day. You get this nice bit of story here. I'll leave it on the screen for a few seconds, so if you want to pause it and read it, you can. But normally, the key bit is just a small amount of text here. So in this case, this part here is what you need. So the newly improved calibration document consists of lines of text. Each line originally contained a specific calibration value that the elves now need to recover. On each line, the calibration value can be found by combining the first digit and the last digit in that order to form a single two-digit number. For example, 1ABC2. So that would be 1 and then 2 on the end. PQR3, so 3 would be the first number and 8 would be the second number. In this example, the calibration values of these 4 lines are 12, 38, 15 and 77. Add these together and it produces 142. It will then give you what's called the puzzle input for you, and that's a custom one. So everyone in the world will get a different one when they log in. And when you click on get your puzzle input, you'll get it here. So if we just copy that, so Control A, copy and put that into Excel, that's where we start. I've already put it in there so we can get started. So I'm going to try my best in approaching this to not use any VBA code unless we absolutely have to. So I'm going to try and keep it to formulas and pivots and things like that. In Excel, there's not a very easy way of extracting text from numbers. And that's obviously the thing we need to do here first, because these letters are irrelevant to us. What we want in the case of this first one here is that 9 there and actually the 2. So there's only 2 numbers there. But if we look down this list, so that example there, you've got 9, 7, 5 and 6. So we want the first number and the last number. I think the first thing we should do is try and get the numbers separate from the text. So one way we could do that is to use the mid function. So if, for example, I just did mid, open brackets, we want this text here, the start number, we'd need to know what the start number is. If we went for the first one, for example, that would give us the n, and we want 1, which is the number of characters from that start position that we want. So if we close that, we get the n. Now, if I put a 1 up here, that could replace the first 1 as our start position. So let's just change that to that. And I'm going to lock this row 3 as well, because that means if we want to then scroll it down, it's not going to cause a problem. What we'll also do at this point is lock the A, and that means when we scroll it to the right, it won't cause us an issue either. So I've got the N there. So if I put a 2 in here, we should find as I scroll across there, we're going to get the I. So we've got N and then I as the second letter of that text. So let's take this, in fact, let's do a length formula here. So if we do len, click on this one here, and then just drop that down. If we then did a max on here, so we want a max of all that lot, hit enter, and we've got 53. So the longest piece of text we've got in our puzzle input is 53 characters. So I think if we scroll this all the way along to 53, that should give us enough to get all of the letters for all of the rows. So now let's just scroll this along and just make sure it's working. So we can see that one stopped at 21 there and stopped on a Z, which is correct. So that's working really well. But we don't actually want the letters. So what I'm going to do is try and transform this result into a value. So if I put value there before and then a bracket afterwards, we'll get an error because it resulted in an N, which was text. So if I now scroll this across, we should find that on the 9 and the 2, we get the number. There we go. But we don't want these hashtag values to be there. So let's just put an if error in front of it. If error, open brackets. And then if it's an error, we just want it to display a blank. So I'm going to put 2 speech marks for a blank, close the brackets, hit enter. So now what we'll end up with is either the number, if it's a number, or we'll end up with a blank. So let's just scroll that down. Because we've put in the $signs, it should keep that top row where we want it as a reference, and it should keep that left column A as our text input. So if we drop that down there, we should find that we've got all of the numbers here from all of these puzzle inputs on the left. And what we want to do is combine them together now to get the numbers into one cell. So the easiest way to do that, if I just drop a new column in, and I'm just going to call this numbers. So we can do a thing called text join. So text join, open brackets. The delimiter in our case is we don't want a delimiter really. So we're just going to put a comma there because we don't want any commas going in between. We don't want any dashes or anything like that. We just want it to be the number and then the next number with nothing between them. Ignore empty. So we've made those cells that have letters purposefully empty. So we want to ignore those. So we hit true, another comma there. And then the text that we want is everything from here all the way along to here. Hit enter, and there you go, we've got 9, 2 together. Now you see how it's gone to the left of that cell? That tells me it's formatted as text. So what we want to do is just put value in front of it, and because we've only got numbers now, it should be fine for all of them. Close brackets, and you see they've gone to the right. So that's transformed that text held 9.2 into a number 92. If we scroll that down, we should now get all of the numbers together. And that's really showing us now how lots of these cells have got multiple numbers in. Now remember, from the puzzle, we want the first one and we want the last one. So let's add another 2 columns for that. So if we highlight over those columns there, insert, and we're going to call this one first and this one last. So to get the first one, we want to do equals left, hit on here, and we want the first character only starting from the left of this cell. So we type 1, hit enter, and we've got our 9. And then in this one here, we want right. And again, we only want 1 from the right, hit that, and we get 2. So it doesn't show us much on that first one, but if we scroll that down, you can see here on this one, we've got 9 as the first one and then 8 as the last one. We now want to put those together so that they're back into a number form with just 2 characters. So I'm going to call this combine. So we do equals, lots of ways you can do this. You could do text join again. Let's just do something different though. So concatenate, text 1 would be this, and text 2 would be that. Close our brackets, and we've got 92. Again, it's gone back to text because concatenate is a text function. So we want to hit value or put value in front of that. Close the brackets, hit enter, and then drop that down. And we should find that we've got the 2-digit number in each of these rows. So at the bottom of that, we could put a sum, or if we just look in the margin down here, 54601 should be the answer to the total of all of those 2-digit numbers. Let's drop it back into the answer. I can't remember what it was now. 54601. So 54601, hit submit, and let's find out if we're right. Brilliant. So we've got our gold star, and that then unlocks part 2 on this same day. So continue to part 2, and we've got a new puzzle.